There has never been a single gram of lead in your pencil, and yet, for 500 years, we've named it as if there were. The whole misunderstanding began wife a single storm in an English valley. The year is 1564. The Lake District in the north of England, the valley of Borrowdale. A violent storm tears a mighty oak clean out of the ground, roots and all. Shepherds who come to look at the damage notice something strange beneath those roots. A glossy black substance, soft as butter, that stains everything it touches. The locals quickly discover that this black mineral is perfect for one thing in particular, marking their sheep. It leaves a clear, lasting mark on dull wool. Word spreads through the countryside, and before long, shepherds from all across the region are using it. Nobody knows what the substance actually is, and that ignorance will one day spark a war over who controls it. It looks like lead, so they call it plumbago, from the Latin word plumbum, meaning lead. That mistake outlives everyone. In English, we still say lead. The Germans say Bleistift, an iron rod of lead, and yet real lead had nothing to do, wife any of it. The graphite from Borrowdale turns out to be a geological miracle. It's so pure and so solid that you can saw it into neat little rods. Nowhere else on earth is there a deposit like it. Artists and writers grasp its potential at once. The line it draws is dark, precise, and wonderfully easy to control. The first pencils are simply lumps of graphite wrapped in string or in sheepskin. Messy, awkward, but revolutionary. Around 1560, two Italian inventors, Simonio and Lindiana Bernacotti, have a stroke of genius. They hollow out a stick of juniper wood and slide a thin rod of graphite inside. And so the first wood-cased pencil is born. Konrad Gessner, a Swiss naturalist, describes it in 1565. The tool is simple, cheap, and needs no inkwell and no quill. Suddenly writing is within reach of almost anyone. England soon understands exactly what it's holding. The mine at Borrowdale is seized by the Crown and placed under armed guard. The graphite is so precious that miners are searched after every shift, so they can't carry off even a crumb. Smuggling it becomes a crime, punishable by prison. Because graphite isn't only about pencils. It turns out to be perfect for casting cannon molds. Whoever controls the graphite controls the weapons. England treats the Borrowdale mine as a matter of national security. And for more than 200 years, it holds a monopoly on the finest pencils in the world. The English monopoly has a weakness. The rest of Europe is searching desperately for an alternative. In 1662, in Nuremberg, German craftsmen discover that powdered graphite, mixed wife sulfur end glue, can imitate something close to the English original. The quality is poorer, but it's a start. Would anyone ever break this stranglehold that had gripped European pencil-making for generations? Yes, and a moment that changes everything is closer than anyone expects. The year is 1795. France is at war with all of Europe. A British naval blockade cuts the French off from Borrowdale graphite. The Revolutionary Army needs pencils to draw maps and write orders, but there's nothing left to make them from. Minister of War Lazare Carnot turns to an officer and inventor named Nicolas-Jacques Conté. With one order: find a way to make pencils without English graphite. Conté, who had already lost an eye in a laboratory explosion while experimenting with balloons, takes on the challenge. In just 8 days, Conté has his breakthrough. He grinds low-grade graphite into a fine powder, mixes it with clay, shapes it into slender rods, and fires them in a kiln at high heat. The result is revolutionary. By changing the ratio of graphite to clay, you can make pencils of different hardness and shade. This is the birth of the system we still use today. More clay means a harder, lighter pencil, marked with the letter H. More graphite gives a soft, dark line, the letter B. The scale from 10H to 10B is a language shared by artists and engineers all over the world. One invention solved a blockade and created a universal standard. Almost at the very same time, working entirely apart from Conté, an Austrian named Joseph Hartmuth develops a similar method. He founds a company and calls it Koh-i-Noor, after the famous diamond. Competition drives innovation, and the pencil begins to conquer the world. Back in 1761, Caspar Faber had founded a pencil workshop in Nuremberg. His great-grandson, Lothar von Faber, brings standardization, a uniform length, a hexagonal shape that won't roll off the table, and a system for marking hardness. Faber-Castell still exists today, the oldest pencil factory in the world. On the other side of the Atlantic, pencils are the business of someone you'd never expect. Henry Dedgwood Thoreau, remembered today as the philosopher who wrote Walden, is the son of a pencil maker in Concord, Massachusetts. The young Thoreau goes to the Harvard Library, studies the manufacturing process, and works out his own blend of graphite and clay, one that makes the Thoreau pencils the best in America. But in 1853, the Thoreaus abandoned the pencil business to sell powdered graphite for the electrical industry instead. Into that gap leaps Joseph Dixon, who builds an empire. His company, Dixon Ticonderoga, makes 4 million pencils a day even now. That signature yellow color? Dixon popularized it in honor of Chinese graphite, because in China, yellow is the color of royalty. Today, the world makes more than 15 billion pencils every year. A single pencil can draw a line 56 kilometers long, or write roughly 45,000 words. From one average tree, you can make 170,000 pencils. The most expensive pencil in the world costs nearly $13,000. Created by Graf von Faber-Castell, it's made from 240-year-old olive wood and trimmed with 18-karat white gold. At the other extreme are pencils that cost mere pennies, reaching children in the poorest schools on earth. One object, two opposite worlds. In the age of smartphones and tablets, the pencil hasn't just survived, it's coming back. Architects still sketch their first ideas with one. NASA astronauts carried pencils into space before the famous Fisser pen existed. Writers say a pencil slows down thinking and helps shape better sentences. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story of an object you think you know, but really don't. Because a pencil is so much more than graphite wrapped in wood. It's a story of a storm and shepherds, of war and blockade, of a philosopher who made pencils and an inventor who lost an eye. 500 years. 15 billion of them a year. And it all began with an uprooted tree in an English valley. So what else is hiding in the objects on your desk?